Good morning, everyone. So that was just, oh, hold on. I need to stop my YouTube.
What's that? Can you hear it in the thing, can you?
No, I'm not watching it, but
Okay. Suzanne, are you hearing the fountain or is it okay?
So we can see you now. So we have Kaylin Okashnahan, our FLTA from Ireland. He is out in the courtyard and he's going to give us a live demonstration. Let me see if I can figure out how to make him.
Yeah, I can hear everyone in here. I'm struggling to hear you too. Is the one thing. But, yeah. But all good.
How can I do speaker view and put it on Kaylin? Any ideas about that?
There's no interference, Suzanne, from the fountain, is there?
There we go. Can everyone see Kaylin now?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Is the fountain in the way or is it okay? Or
No, we don't see the fountain.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Okay. So I guess you're welcome anyway. So this is for anyone who doesn't know, I'm going to talk a little bit about hurling and show some of the basic skills and things involved. So I'll put that up to the camera. That's a ball. If we call it a slitter. You can see there the name of it, slitter. Okay. So it's about kind of, I brought a couple of other balls like a baseball for kind of reference. So about the same size and weight as a baseball. So Victoria, if you want to have a look, that's a slitter. About the same sort of size and weight as a baseball. Yeah. Okay. So basically, hurling is a game played by 15 people aside, where the objective is to outscore the opponent. It's kind of a mixture of hockey, soccer, rugby, lacrosse, baseball, lots of different sports. Okay, so I'm going to steal one of those balls for you. That's okay. So it's different from those sports because it's a team game with, as I said, 15 on the side, and your objective is to pass the ball around and eventually score goals and points. If you check out the hurling video from the link that Suzanne sent, you'll see that there's kind of a net where the posts extend as well. So if you put the ball in the net, you get 3 points. And if you put it over the bar between the posts, you get 1 point. And you're allowed to do this in several ways. You can strike the ball out of your hands. So you can throw the ball up. I'll just show you. Throw the ball up and strike. You can strike the ball along the ground like hockey. You can hand pass the ball and you can kick the ball. So but although I don't recommend that because it's painful. So basically that's kind of what separates it from other sports, the fact you're allowed it in your hand. Now it's not like rugby where you can just have the ball in your hand and run with it indefinitely. You have to obey a certain set of rules, kind of like basketball where we dribble. So for example, I don't know where that ball went, so I'll grab another one. So you're allowed the ball in your hand for 4 steps. So you're allowed to run with it for 4 steps, okay? After that, you must use your stick to control the ball. And we dribble the ball on the stick like this to kind of balance it, okay? So I'm gonna give some of the viewers here an opportunity to do that in a second. So that's how we dribble. You're only allowed the ball in your hand twice. So after you put it in your hand the second time, you have to either strike it, so throw it up and strike it, or you can do a little trick, which is bouncing it off the ground. Once the ball hits the ground, the dribble resets and you can go again, basically. Okay. You're also not allowed to pick the ball up off the ground. We do this using our stick, and there's a couple of ways to do it. So you can either roll back and scoop up, or we can simply scoop up. And that's how we pick up the ball. Okay, so maybe gonna let a couple of people have a go if you like. Let me see. Actually, as to the hurl itself, by the way, as well, it's about the same. This is 34 inches. So they're kind of custom made for your size. They kind of roughly reach your hip. I prefer it to be a little bit smaller because you can kind of move it a bit easier and do a bit more with it. But roughly about the same size as a baseball. The way we grip it is slightly differently from a baseball. So I know with baseball, your strong hand goes at the bottom and you kind of hit like that. In hurling, it's more about your wrist than your kind of shoulders or your arms. So your strong hand goes at the top of the hurl, and you kind of, it's a wrist motion to strike the ball like this. Your wrist kind of twists round. You can adjust your grip on the hurl. So if I want a longer strike, I use the bottom of the stick to get more power on the swinging action. If I want to just pass it short, I reduce my grip and I can pass shorter. Okay. So anyone up for giving it a try? Did you give it a try? Yeah. I've got a couple of spares.
Like more than one person, so that not all the attention is on me.
There you go. Come on up. You like to have a go? You like to have a go? Okay, okay.
Maybe in a minute.
Okay, cool. Okay, Victoria. Thank you very much. So I'm going to show you how to pick up the ball. Okay, that's arguably the most important skill. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to bring your. So let me see your grip first of all. What are you, right-handed or left-handed? So your right hand goes to the top of your stick, and it should be facing out the ways like that, and then your left hand comes up to control it. Okay. Now, because these sticks are this is probably a bit. I'm a bit lot taller than you. It's probably a bit big, so you can reduce your grip slightly. Yeah, like that, and then you kind of move up and down the stick depending on what you need to do. So your left hand does most of the work. Your left hand, if you're dipping, will come down or move back, etc. Okay, and your right hand kind of remains fixed. So to pick up the ball, you put your left foot forward, right, sort of roughly beside the ball, like this. Yeah, you need to come to hunch down, and you want your hurl to be as flat as possible. Okay, so that you can roll back and then scoop it up. That's it. Yep, into your hands. Good. So once you get it up in the air like that, if you let go with your left hand and try and catch it, okay? So if you're down like this, up, catch. That's it. Perfect. Well done. A natural. Excellent. You're not allowed. It's not in the rules. So if you pick it up, that's a foul, and the other team gets a free basically. That's how we pick it up. Anybody else want to have a go pick it up? Yeah, come on ahead. No, it's fine, fine. So this is your ball. So again, so you're right-handed. So yeah, that's about right. Yep, perfect. And you can shorten your grip a little bit because again, I'm much taller than you, so you can shorten it and use your left then. So again, you're putting your left foot forward almost beside the ball. You want to get the stick kind of as flat as possible. And no, just no, not at all. No. So what you can, if you want to show off, you can do a bit of tricks, but it's legal, but in a match, like someone will shoulder you or someone will hit you, so you'll not get the chance. So if you come down like this, you get your hurl as flat as you can. Yeah, shorten your grip slightly. Yep, and then you want to pull back and scoop. Oh, that's it. Yeah, you got it. So scoop. So pull a little faster. Oh, more difficult than it looks.
How short would the grass be?
Shorter. Kind of like a soccer pitch or something, like, usually shaved. That's it. Well, hey, well done. Super. Excellent. Anybody else want to try? Yeah, sure. So, okay. So that's how we pick up the ball on the move. So, yeah, right hand facing outwards, yeah, and then your left hand just takes up. And again, you probably don't have to shorten too much. You're similar to my height. Go down, up, and catch. Oh, almost. Well done. Good. Try again. That's it. There we go. Natural. Excellent. Well done. Okay. So as well as that, as I said, we can strike the ball on the ground. So again, just like hockey or golf, you just strike it on the ground. So that's if you don't have time, because if you watch that video in the link there last night, you don't often have time to get down and pick it up. So sometimes the easiest thing to do is just to hit it away. It's a very physical sport, so people do shoulder tackle you. They can sort of push you a little bit. They can rough you up a little bit. So it's a bit physical. So it's often difficult to have the time to do what you want. So let me just grab one of the balls here a second. So as well as that, another important skill is catching the ball. So kind of similar to baseball, except in baseball you have a glove, whereas in hurling we don't use a glove. We just catch with your hand. Okay. Catching is very important because if you have the ball on your stick, it's an opportunity for people to tackle you. So if someone comes in to tackle me, they hit my stick, I maybe lose control of the ball. So it's important to get the ball into your hands as often as possible, because it's safe in your hands. No one can get it out of your hand, you know. Once you have it in your hand, as I said, you can either hand pass it. Will you catch this for me, Victoria? Yeah. So I can hand pass like this. So it's where you kind of throw it up very slightly and then palm it. So like this here. See that? So you kind of throw it very slightly and palm it with your hand. Okay. Also, when you have it in your hand, you can strike the ball. So I'll maybe do it down this way so I don't kill anybody. But basically, you sort of throw the ball up. Again, your right hand is at the bottom of the stick and you kind of up and strike. And again, as I said, the further down the stick my hand goes, the longer a strike I'll have. So I'll be able to hit it over that roof, no problem, just push. Or if it's shorter for a pass, into the hands like that and hit. Okay? Anybody want to try striking a ball? Try striking a ball? Yeah, on ahead. So I'll grab that one, 2 seconds. Okay, so you can strike it either on the ground, okay? So like kind of hockey or golf, as I said. So again, just the ball on the ground and you can just line it up, you know, line it up and strike, okay? Yep. So yeah, your right hand's at the bottom. Same again, yeah, and you use your wrist. So again, shorten your grip a little bit. Use your wrist. Go again. Yo, that's it. Okay, so that's off the. There's a chance it'll go underneath, kind of thing. So that's why this side's more solid. This is where you do the hitting. That side's kind of. So. Kind of, yeah. Scoop it. So, if we're going to throw it up, so you want kind of your shoulder kind of aims your strike, right? So if I'm pointing this way, the ball's going to go that way. So your shoulder kind of lines it up. I'm not going to get you to do full grip because I don't want any windows broken. So short grip, okay? Just up, and you need to rotate your wrist. So the movement is kind of like this. So you throw the ball up, you need to move your wrist. See that? Your wrist moves. So, oops. So if I move my wrist up, hit. Okay. Good. Well done. Anybody else want to go? You want to turn? Yeah, I'll grab the ball. Bear with me till I go get that ball. Oh, sorry. So, yeah. Whoa, nice. Well done. You're a natural. Okay. Do you want to have a turn? Yeah. So again, either on the ground or out of your hands, whichever you prefer. So not quite full power because it'll break a window. But so it's just literally, so with baseball, you're using kind of your shoulders and stuff, aren't you? Hurling, not really. You're using your wrist. So that's the movement you want there, kind of like that. Oh, so yep. That's it. Super. That's basically it. That's how you strike. Good. Okay. So I guess tackling rules, we'll do maybe some tackling at a very basic and safe way. Okay, so with hurling, it always looks, if you watch it on TV, it looks a bit crazy. It looks like people just come in and swing sticks and beat people, and there is a bit of that, but it is governed by a set of rules. Okay, so you're allowed to tackle people shoulder to shoulder, kind of like, well, like they say you can in soccer, shoulder to shoulder. And there's ways of blocking people when they go to strike as well. So, for example, Victoria, can I get you to come and just pick up a hurl for a second? You don't have to use the ball, right? But just to pretend to strike. So there's ways of doing it. So if you just do the movement for me, just that, right? So if I'm this side of Victoria and so pretend she's throwing up the ball to hit it, I can simply go ahead. Well, it's easier with the ball because I aim at the ball, but basically in and block. Go ahead. That's it. Good.
Are they gonna break?
Break and block. No. Well, they can, but these won't. So that sound you hear is called the clash of the ash, and that's kind of one of the sounds that people associate with hurling, and it kind of makes it famous. So 2 seconds, Victoria. I'm going to use it one more time. There's another way of doing it. So especially if you're using your short hand, right? And if I'm this side, when you go to swing, I can hit this part of the hurl. See that? So if you go to hit and you it stops you. Yeah. So go ahead. Oh, so hold on. Yeah. See that? And it throws you off your strike a little bit. Okay. So you can try it on me. Okay. So I'm going to try and hit the ball. So come in from this side and just simply go for the ball and block the ball. Okay. All right. Good. That's a block. You see, the ball didn't go anywhere. She blocked me. Okay. That one from behind is called a hook. So you're going to try and hook me. So go for this part. Ready? Oh.
I'm scared I'm gonna hit you.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. So go ahead. Yeah. See that? So she kind of threw off my strike there. That's 2 ways of doing it. You can't, if you have the hurl in your hand. Well, 2 seconds. Sorry, last one, I promise. So if you have it in your hand, I can't come down like this. That's called chopping. That's a foul. So because that's dangerous. You can hit someone's fingers or whatever. But you can't come down. You can go up, but going up's not the most effective because. So go ahead, come up from the bottom at me. So I can still kind of keep it under control if she comes up. See that? So you can do that, but it's not so effective. So you're better off with either a block or a hook from the back, like I showed you. And you cannot come down. That's called chopping. Okay. Well done, Victoria. Thank you very much. No pads. Just played the way it is. Some people sometimes wear like small gloves to help with catching, but they don't really offer much protection. So you do get a lot of. I have a couple of scars and stuff on my fingers because it just happens. Like, but you get used to it. But for any of you who think that hurling's a bit brutal or a bit rough, it's a 3,000-year-old sport. It was played by the Celts in Ireland as a way to practice for warfare, and they used to use human heads instead of balls. So it's lucky that's not the rule anymore, and that there are some actual rules so that it's not as dangerous as what it used to be. Okay. Would you like to try some blocking yourself? Yeah. Looking around for help. What's your name again? Sorry. Jared. Jared, nice to meet you. So again, I'll show you what to do. So again, so you can either, if you're coming in from behind, you're looking to hook me. So practice there a few times. Here. Yeah. So hook me. Yeah. That's it. So that's what you're doing. You're hooking me. Yeah. So if I go to swing for the ball, there you go. You hook me. See that? Yep. Also from the other side. So if I go to strike, you just simply turn around. So this one faces up. Yeah. So you're just simply coming in like that. Okay. So there you go. He didn't even need to hit my stick. He got the ball. Okay. Super. Christina, would you like a turn? Okay. Come on, I'll show you again. So are you right-handed or left-handed? Right. So your right goes at the top of the stick. Yeah, like that. Now you're a bit shorter than me, so shorten your grip a little bit. So come up, yeah, and then your left hand's on the wood. Yep. So, what was the first one I showed again? Oh yeah, how to pick up the ball. So, if the ball's on the ground, I can't just pick it up with my hand. I have to pick it up off the ground. So I can do that in 2 ways. I can scoop like this, or I can roll and scoop like that. Okay. So what you want to do, right? You want to bring your left foot up so it's kind of around here beside the ball. Okay. You need to get down, have your hurl as flat as possible, pull and scoop, and then catch with your left hand. Oh, go again. There you go. Catch. Nice. Well done. Super. Good. Okay. Also, you can strike the ball on the ground. So kind of like golf or like hockey, but instead of having this kind of rigid swing, we use our wrist. So the hurl moves. So your right hand's at the bottom. You practice that sort of wrist movement. Yeah. So use both hands. That's it. And when the ball's on the ground, you simply strike. Okay. So 2 seconds. Yep, go ahead. Go again. There you go. Super. Okay. Now, as well as that, you can strike out of your hands. So I was saying to these guys, so your shoulder kind of points you. Your shoulder is what you aim with. Okay. So if I point my shoulder this way, you're going to get hit. See that? So you got to point down. Usually, if we're going for a really hard strike, or if we're shooting, we have our right hand at the bottom of the stick, so we can throw and smash it. But I don't want any windows broken.
Yeah.
So we're going to shorten our grip a little bit. And again, it's that kind of movement, just with your wrist, kind of keep everything loose and swing like that. And you're going to throw the ball up and hit with this part. So up, strike. Okay. So go again. Super. Oh, good. That was almost too good. I was worried there for a second. Well done, Christina. Okay. Does our cameraman want to go? You sure? Okay. Sure. I'll maybe show Christina how to block, then how to tackle. So last thing I'll borrow you for, and then I'll leave you alone. So in terms of tackling, okay, so how to make a legal tackle without injuring people and without fouling people, right? So if I'm going to swing my hurl, so say you're going to strike the ball again, right? I want to block here. Okay, so go ahead. There, that blocks. Yeah, and that sound. So one more. Okay, so block. Go again. That's the block. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'll maybe pretend to hit the ball because I don't want anyone getting hurt. Okay, because it can go wrong. But basically, you're going to block me like that. Okay. So just trying to hit here. Ready? Okay. So my strike went a bit underneath. So ready? There you go. So she blocked me. I couldn't hit the ball. See that? The other tackle. So if you're behind me, right, and I'm going to swing the ball, you can hit this part of my stick. So if I'm here like this, hook me. Yep. That's exactly it. So you want to just get so let me see, move your hands down a little bit. No, up this way. Yeah. So you want to kind of just drag it out of the way, make an annoyance of it. You know what I mean? So I don't have control over it. See that? So you ready? I'm going to go for it. So you need to watch out for that. I'm going to be moving. So get in early. Okay. So 2 seconds. No, don't worry about it. Ready? So you're aiming for here. Ready? Oh, well, there we go. That kind of worked. That's basically it in theory. Yeah. So well done. Super. So thank you, Christina. And then the other thing, I guess, is just catching the ball. So you can try and catch it. So if you have the hurl in your right hand on the stick, so turn it that way. Yeah. So if it's in your right hand, it's facing that way. Yeah. So you can hold it with your right hand, put your left hand up and catch. Okay. So good. So try and hit it to me. Yeah. Good. Ready? Super. Well done. That's how you pass. Go ahead. Go again. Oh, yeah. But like that. If I wasn't out of practice. So yes, those are the rules basically. Okay. So that's how we pass. Super. Anybody else want to go trying to catch and pass it? Yeah. Anybody else?
And Kaylin, we do have some questions in the chat when you have time to answer them.
Certainly. How are we for time? Have I gone on too long or?
No. It's 10:27, but we just want to make sure there's time to answer the questions.
Okay, sure. Yep. If you want to, if you want to ask a few questions now, that's fine. And then we can maybe fill the rest of the time then by practicing a bit more or by demonstrating a bit more. Is that okay?
Okay.
Thanks very much. They're just asking a few questions.
Good job, Christina. Okay, so the first question, well, there are a couple of questions about scoring. So
yes.
Can you go over again how to keep score and what's like the typical average score to win if you have 2 or 3 time periods? How does that work?
Okay, so if you look at the net's kind of like a giant H. So kind of like if you've ever seen a rugby net before, it's kind of like, so the 2 posts extend up, you've got like a soccer frame, but the posts extend up, so it's like a giant H. If you put the ball into the net, so underneath the crossbar in the net, past the goalkeeper, you get 3 points. If you put it over the crossbar and between the two posts, you get 1 point. Okay. Hurling is I think it's the fastest field sport in the world, and it's very high scoring usually. So I can't remember the exact dimensions of the field, but it's longer and wider than a soccer field. But you can easily put the ball over from halfway if you're a good player. So you can rack up a lot of scores quite easily. As I said, there's 15 in a team, and you're using your teammates to help you try and outscore the opposition. So, I mean, there would usually easily be, around 20 or more points in a game, maybe a few goals as well. So as I say, like, a goal's worth 3 because it's more difficult to score because there's a goalkeeper. And if you're a goalkeeper in hurling, you have to be a little bit cuckoo, I think, because people are just firing. Like, it's basically a baseball that you have, and people are firing these full pelt at you. And all you've got is like a little helmet and a stick to protect yourself. So you have to be it's not like a hockey goalkeeper. Hockey goalkeepers are kind of all padded up. Hurling goalkeepers, no, it's just you're hurling your helmet. So it's you have to be a little bit, I don't know, a bit crazy. But yes, so it usually is very high scoring. It's not like soccer, like where soccer you might, you watch for 90 minutes and it might finish 0-0 or 1-0 or something like that. Hurling matches last, well, for club hurling matches, they last 60 minutes. And for what's called county matches, so that's kind of like the highest level, they last 70 minutes. So you've got 70 minutes to score as much as you can. And when you see, if you look at clips on YouTube, when you see how people are able to move the ball the way they are and strike as fast and as hard as they can, it usually is very high scoring. Any other questions?
Yeah, we had one about, okay, is there any similarity between hurling and golf?
The fact that you're striking a ball, I guess. I've got a golf ball here just to show. Like, but if you know what a baseball looks like, I mean, it's similar size to a baseball. So that's kind of I don't know if the camera can see that. That's kind of a slitter and a golf ball there. So it's not quite as, it's more like a baseball than a golf ball. It's made from like leather and then like a plastic sort of kind of ball thing inside. Used to make it from pig's bladder, but I think it's plastic now, as far as I know, or rubber maybe. Whereas golf, just well, maybe move down a bit from the fountain just so people can hear. Golf is just I don't know what golf balls are made from, but you can hear they're much more solid. So a bit easier to catch because they're bigger, a bit easier to follow, and also probably wouldn't hurt as much as being struck with a golf ball. But apart from that, I mean, the way you hold the hurl is different. I'm pretty sure golf is your strong hand goes underneath. I'm not 100% sure. And everything in golf is very rigid. You don't really move. It's kind of your shoulders and your hips doing most of the work. Whereas hurling, it's all wrist. So you need to be able to move your stick about to catch, strike, strike on the ground. Strike in the air. You're moving with your wrist constantly. So you see hurlers always end up with big, strong forearms and strong wrists because it's not as rigid as golf. It's much more loose. And there's just much more you can do with the ball. You can strike it on the ground, but you can also pick it up into your hands, strike from your hands. And yeah, it's I suppose similar in that you're hitting a ball, but very different in terms of the way that the stick is and in terms of the skills and the requirements for scoring.
Great. So another question is, how many hurling teams are there in Ireland, and do you have a team that you root for?
How many hurling teams? So I'm not sure. Is Kat Drader in the call by any chance? No?
No, she's not here.
No. I remember in one of the last ones I gave, she was telling me, like, when she was in Ireland, every single village or every town that she was in had their own team and had their own sort of, so it's kind of, hurling and Gaelic football are probably the most popular sports in Ireland. Maybe soccer too, but hurling and Gaelic football, it's difficult to explain. Every single sort of small village or small area that you're from will have their own team. either hurling or Gaelic football or both. And so when you're representing your team, you're representing kind of your home area, you're representing your family, your friends. So it's a big deal. So even though they're amateur sports, so even at the highest level that they're played, they're not paid. So they are amateur sports, but you're representing kind of, you're playing for the love of the game and for the love of your area and your community, basically. So my team, well, I actually haven't played in a few years. I'm playing Gaelic football at the moment, and my Gaelic football team doesn't have a hurling team, but I used to play when I was younger. And yeah, I mean, the team that I support, I guess, so you've got all your sort of clubs, your local clubs, and then you've got your counties. So Ireland is split up into 32 counties. And so each of these counties has a Gaelic football team and a hurling team. And then they compete for what's known as the All Ireland. So they compete to try and become the best club in Ireland for that year, basically. So kind of, I guess, like the Super Bowl of hurling or of Gaelic football. These matches are played in Croke Park Stadium in Dublin, which has a capacity of, I think, maybe 80,000, something like that, 70 or 80,000, which when you consider that they're amateur sports is pretty incredible. And they fill these stadiums on match day. Like, you'll not see many empty seats on All Ireland final day. So yeah, I guess, so the county that I would support would be Antrim. So if you look at where Belfast is on a map of Ireland, it's in the county of Antrim. So I support Antrim.
Can you talk a little bit more? You mentioned how hurling is an amateur sport, but it can fill a stadium of 80,000 people. Talk a little bit more about how no one is actually paid to play.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. That's just it. They're amateur sports. So I guess so. I mean, you would go like, so I play. I don't play at the highest level of the sport. Obviously, I'm just I mean, I would play like you would maybe play for your local like pee-wee hockey team or something, that sort of way. But so you go and you do whatever you do if you're a student or if you're working or whatever you're doing, and then usually you'll have like practice a couple of times a week, and then at the weekend then you'll have a game against another team. And you just kind of, I don't know, you kind of have to find time for it. You have to find time to do the fitness and to do the strength training, and then to practice your skills, and then to go and play your matches and play your training or your practices. And like, so even at the highest level, these people are kind of they're going and working maybe 9 to 5 jobs, and then at the, they're training at nighttime, and then at the weekend they're going. And people really sort of dedicate their lives to these sports as well. People get really into it. Tim, would you like to go? Come on. I'll take some more questions in a moment, Suzanne. I've got another onlooker here, so. Okay. Have you ever heard or seen hurling before?
No.
Okay, so it's basically an Irish sport, kind of like, I don't know what it's a mixture of, like hockey, golf, lacrosse, lots of stuff. So I'll just show you some of the basic skills of your game, okay? So when the ball's on the ground, we can't just pick it up. You have to use your stick, okay? Are you right-handed or left-handed?
Left-handed.
Left-handed. So your left hand will go to the top of the stick, and it'll be facing out the ways like that. Perfect. You're a natural. So put the ball down. So your right hand will do most of the work, then your right hand will be sliding up and down. You can adjust your left hand too if it makes it a little bit lighter for you. Because sometimes down here it's a bit, whereas down here much faster. So you can move as well, but your right hand then will go above your left hand. So what you have to do to pick up the ball, you put your right foot forward, so it's sort of fairly close to the ball, right? You squat down, have your stick as flat as possible, and roll and catch. There you go. You almost had it. Go again. Natural. Well done. Super. That's how you pick it up. Okay. So you can also strike the ball on the ground. So kind of like golf. So if you go back there, just so I can, yeah. So just like golf, except with golf, everything's very rigid, and so with hurling, we use our wrists. So it's this sort of movement you want. Okay. So the ball's on the ground. I come up, strike. Super. Well done. Okay. Once we pick the ball up into our hands, so go ahead, let's see you. Super, well done. So once you have it in your hands, you can also strike from your hands. So if you want more power, you take the bottom of the stick, but I don't want any windows broken. So I'm going to ask you to shorten your grip a bit. Your shoulder kind of points to the target. So if my shoulder's pointing this way, it's probably going to hit you. So I want to point down here, and you're trying to hit with this part of the stick basically. So you're throwing up, strike. Super, well done, excellent. And then the other skill, I guess, is to catch the ball. So if you want to stand here, I'll pass up to you, and you can catch. Okay. Ready? So hold the stick with your left hand and get ready to catch with your right. Okay. I'll just wait till there's no one behind you. Okay. Super. And pass back. Good. See that? Good. That's it. I'm back. Excellent. Well done. You're a natural. So the only other things I want to show you is just how to tackle quickly, right? So there's things you can and can't do. So if I have my hurl like this, you can't chop down on it. That's a foul. Can't do that. You can come up, right, like this and tackle like that. But it's not always ideal, because if I have the ball here, go ahead, come up. I can, well, it worked that time, but sometimes you can sort of keep it there. So that's not always the best way to tackle, right? Another way to tackle is if I'm about to strike, you can block me. So I'll do it with no ball first. You're essentially trying to hit here, right? So, yep, so go ahead. So block me. That's it. Block me. That's it. Okay, so if I go to strike the ball, that's it. I'm blocked. See that? Well done, Tim. Another way to do it is if you're behind me and I have my hurl like this, you can do what's called a hook. So you can hook me by hitting this part. So go ahead. Yeah. So if I go to strike, you block me. See that? And that's basically the basics. You're a natural. We'll get you playing hurling yet, Tim. Happy days. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Any other?
Good job, Tim. A couple of things. Well, one, Tim Cronin is also here. So I thought I would give him a minute to talk about the Wolfhounds if he wants to. Do you want to say anything,
100%.
Tim?
Hey, sorry, I didn't mean to bypass or distract from it. I was just, when the questions were coming up, I just said I'd post a few things as I knew them. So my name is Tim Cronin. I'm living here in about 10 years, but I run a local Gaelic football club primarily. We have a few members who play hurling, but we're predominantly a Gaelic football club. And that's kind of, it's pretty normal back home in Ireland as well, that you'd have clubs that may promote both sports, but they're more dominant in one. And that's all over the country. I come from County Kerry, which is in the southwest of the country, and we're predominantly football, not hurling. But the north part of our county is nearly all hurling. They'd hardly play football at all. So it just kind of depends where you are in the country. There's definitely a big divide between hurling and football, but most, as was mentioned there, most villages and towns would have both hurling and football teams. The club here specifically was set up in 2015. Like I said, we focus primarily on Gaelic football, but we have a few players who play hurling, and we usually have them register with Raleigh. So Raleigh also have a GAA club, and Charlotte. So one of the few states, especially in the southeast, that have 3 Gaelic football organizations in the state. Most states only have 1. I think Florida has 3 now as well. They're kind of up and coming, but there's a lot of clubs in the US. But yeah, so we focus, our year kind of goes from May to August. We start training usually in around March time, usually just after St. Patrick's Day, actually. We've been on kind of hiatus over the last 12 months, as you can imagine, with COVID. So we're just starting to get back out on the field ourselves. We're trying to keep things kind of safe and do social distancing. We're not doing many group stuff. It's all kind of separated a little bit. But we're starting to train at Washington Park in Winston-Salem at the moment. We're still trying to find a permanent home. A lot of fields that we use in the past are not open at the moment, and we're trying to get a more permanent area. But the link I posted a link in the chat about kind of the history of Gaelic football and of hurling and scoring and that kind of thing. So that should answer a lot of your questions. If you kind of filter back from that and go back to our main website page, there's a calendar on the filter on the menu, and that'll give you an example of when we train and where we train if you're interested in coming out, even just to watch. We'll have some events. They're going to be kind of minimum this year, but we'll have some events throughout the year. We do a lot of promotion of Irish sports. Obviously, we have a connection with DCCC, and usually the Fulbright scholars that come there, usually connect with us in some form or fashion. Sometimes they play with us, sometimes they don't. But we do have a connection with promoting Irish culture and sports here in the Triad as well. There's obviously links and emails and stuff if you've got any questions about not just Irish sports, but Irish cultures in general. We have connections with Irish musicians. There's Irish poet societies in Wake Forest University. We try to keep our fingers on the pulse for anything Irish related that's happening in town, with musicians coming in or poets, or we do a lot of viewings in for Gaelic sports at home. So as Caelan was talking about, we have a national tournament in Ireland that is the top level, and we have viewings then here in Winston-Salem that will showcase those games on TV through a system called GAA Go, which is like an app that was developed a few years ago in conjunction with our local network, which is RTE, and they stream games live here, so we can watch the games live as they happen. And usually we do that. That's all free. We just turn up at Foothills Brewing is our local sponsor, our primary sponsor. So usually we hold things there. Lots of seating. We can spread out, especially this year, and hopefully things start getting relaxed a little bit. And we may have some of those in kind of August, September timeframe. But yeah, any questions? Please go to the website. It's probably the easiest thing, and you can email us through that.
Thanks, Tim. It's nice to see you and hear you. I've known of you for a long time.
I know it's been a while, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Were there any other questions for Caelan or Tim?
So, Tim, you the question, sorry?
Oh, no.
No, just about the sticks and blocking and stuff?
Yeah, that it's really, it would be, like I said, you're going to hit people's feet.
Oh, you do, you get injured. Like, there's people do get injuries and stuff, but you just kind of, I don't know, you get on with it. Like, it happens. But I mean, that's why things like, what I'm saying, like chopping and stuff, that's not, because that's dangerous. You can slice someone's finger off with that, like, so you can't come down. That's a foul. That's why the tackles come up, where it's slightly safer. And that you're trying to block this part of the stick. You can block like that as well. If I'm going to hit, you can come in and block like that, and it kind of blocks the stick. And yeah, they're not flimsy, but they're not like baseball bats either. They do break as well. So it's common enough there's a famous picture I saw one time of a guy. So usually if you're catching the ball up high, you need to take your stick up to protect your arm, because people will sometimes just swing. So if you're going up like this, your arm gets hit. And there's a famous picture of like a guy going up like this to catch the ball, and a hurley stick breaking on his arm, and you just see his face. It's a funny picture, like, but it's a lesson as well. You do have to use the stick to protect yourself too. Suzanne, can I just point out, if anyone's interested in kind of seeing the level of these athletes and how they compare to other sports and stuff like that, there's a TV series that came out on RTE, on one of Ireland's television channels, a couple of years back, and it's available on YouTube. It's called The Toughest Trade. So The Toughest Trade, and basically, so they had members or people who played hurling and Gaelic football go and swap for a while with people who played other sports. And so there's one where there's an ex-American footballer who swaps with a Gaelic footballer. So he goes to play Gaelic football, and the guy goes over to play American football for a while, and you can see the skills transferring. It's a really interesting one. And there's one with a baseballer who swaps with a hurling player. And there's a funny clip, actually. I think I showed one in one of my culture classes that so he goes to play baseball, and he can't figure the glove out. So he just takes the glove off, and they're hitting the ball, and he's just up and catching and throwing back. And you see them all going like, what's going on? Like, but they're about the same size and weight as a baseball, so it's just what he was used to hitting, But it's worth watching that. The Toughest Trade, it's called. I don't know if you want to put it in the chat or something. If you search it on YouTube, you'll find the Toughest Trade, and it's definitely an interesting watch if anyone's interested. Any other questions or comments or?
I had one last question. I know the answer to it, but I don't know if everyone knows the answer to it. And my question is hurling just for men?
So there's actually a female variation of the sport as well called camogie. So hurling is played by men, and camogie is played by women then. But in terms of the rules and the play styles and everything, they're basically exactly the same. There's some small, slight rule changes. So I think that if you're playing hurling and you drop your stick, and I think it's something like that. If you drop your stick and you're playing without your stick, that's a foul. But in camogie, I think you can drop your stick and like kick it or whatever. But it's real small changes like that. But they're essentially the same sport. And if you go to YouTube and search up camogie, so CAMOGIE, it's exactly the same sport, but for females basically. Being attacked by God knows what here. But yes, so do search that up as well if you're interested. And I think Tim was saying they had either a ladies Gaelic football team or a camogie team a few years ago, but I don't know if there was enough interest or something. Maybe Tim could clarify that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, there wasn't. We've had ladies throughout the years, but nothing has really stuck. It's the issue when we don't get a large number. They're just kind of I guess ingested into the male Gaelic football training session, and that probably just doesn't gel well with them. Not that we're overly aggressive or anything. The trainings, especially for Gaelic football and even hurling, the training styles are very, very similar. It's the skills that you develop. The really big difference between segregating men and females is the physicality of the game. It's probably a big one. There's a few little rule changes, as Caelan mentioned, but Raleigh and Charlotte both have female teams. So usually we'll send our players to either one of those. Usually to Raleigh, the relationship is probably a little bit better than Charlotte. A few of our members had played with them in the past, so usually we kind of give them first choice. So we usually send them to their hurling teams. I believe they have a female hurling team now, and a male hurling team. So they have a camogie team and a hurling team and a football team in Raleigh. So usually, if you want to play in an actually professional, or I guess not a professional game, but a game style, we usually send our players to there.
Tim, you've made a mistake telling me. If I'd known there was a hurling team in Raleigh, I wouldn't have bothered with you at all. Would have went straight to Raleigh.
That's why I didn't tell you.
That's fine. So, Caelan, I don't know if you had anything else, but I did want to give Deborah a couple of minutes to talk about our study abroad program in Ireland this coming October, and the scholarship deadline is coming up. So,
Sure.
Caelan, did you have any last thing you wanted to say before we let Deborah talk about Ireland?
I guess just look it up, and like there's plenty of videos and stuff on YouTube, and if you can watch a match or get to a match at some stage, then it's definitely worth it. And also, as Tim says, like, you know, like my attitude about sort of trying new sports out is go once, and if you don't like it, you don't have to go back. But we're a very welcoming group, and you will have a lot of fun as well. We do have a lot of American players too. Now that's Gaelic football, not hurling, unfortunately, but it's a similar sport. And yeah, I mean, just as I said, I mean, look it up on YouTube, and if I can help in any way, or if I can answer any more questions, then feel free to drop me an email, and I'll see what I can do.
Thank you.
And just gonna meet a Mahagov. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Caelan. All right, Deborah, did you want to take it over for a minute and talk about, you know, Caelan's told us all about, we've heard these lovely Irish accents that all Americans love, and we've seen the fun sports they play.
Can I leave these over here?
Sure.
There's someone else talking. But, I'm just gonna. So,
Oh, no, go ahead.
no, you're gone.
I have a quick presentation.
Yes, this is me.
So just some words about the trip that we've got. It's going to be over fall break in October 2021. And here's our home base of Bundoran. A few pictures of that. It is the surfing capital of Ireland, and that's one of the activities that you can do. We also have horseback riding. You can do one or both. And there's beautiful places that we will visit, such as the Ferry Bridge, Donegal Castle, and Belfast. We had quite a bit of time to walk around in Belfast, and one of the things that my group chose to do was to visit inside City Hall. They have a place there where you can view quite a bit of history in Northern Ireland. And so we also go to a few modern places, such as the Titanic Quarter, and always got to hit those pubs. So lots of nightlife to take part in. And our trip leader had us do some Celtic art classes. So they came to the hotel and we were able to take part in that. As well as time for music. So you can see some of our students were doing karaoke, and we also had a sing-along session. You'll see that in the bottom right area there. And just wanted to give you guys a bit more info. So exact date, October 8th through 16th. We have one of the lowest cost study abroad trips at $27.50. If you're a student and will be a student in the fall, you can apply for a scholarship. And our trip covers almost everything except for lunch. So it's a great deal. And we've extended the early bird deadline, so you can still get $100 off the trip if you pay your $250 deposit by June 1st. One big point that I would like to make is that students can go if they're early college or CCP at Davidson-Davie. The minimum age is 16. And we also take community members. So please reach out to your family and friends. They can join you as well.
Thanks, Deborah. We've been running this program in Bundoran for 7 years now, and it's a wonderful, wonderful program. We have great partners there at the Institute of Study Abroad Ireland, and we have 100% satisfaction guaranteed on our program. So no one who has ever gone has regretted going. Everyone loves it. I promise you'll love it too, and that we can, help make it happen for you. So Ireland's a great first place to go if you haven't traveled. It's English speaking, friendly. Like I said, all Americans love the accents, and it's just a beautiful, wonderful place. So are there any last questions or comments? Oh, and thanks, Deborah. She put the link in the chat.
Nice job, all. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone. All right, Slán.
Slán, Suzanne. Take care.